easy entry into island life. If you're vacationing here for pride or seeking out boutique communities year-round, the 12 best beaches in New York State, from peaceful escapes to party towns. When you're after a beach in New York State, the glitz and glamour of the Hamptons and the old-school appeal of Coney Island, both in the vicinity of New York City, tend to steal the spotlight. But there are plenty more sandy havens to be found across the Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. Across the Empire State, no matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State, no matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State, no matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State, no matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State, no matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your destination. The Empire State. No matter which direction you're heading, check the water quality at your Art museums. Art museum. 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 Series of chapels, galleries, and traditional museums showcasing work amassed by the Catholic Church. The most famous draw is the magnificent fresco-covered Sistine Chapel, with its ceiling by Michelangelo depicting biblical scenes from Genesis. Other highlights include Raphael's rooms, former papal chambers featuring paintings by the Renaissance master, and the Profane Museum, which displays pre-Christian art and artifacts. 2. Louvre, Paris. The Louvre has long been a worldwide favorite. Before becoming a museum, the building was a palace, so the exterior alone is worth the trip. The towering glass pyramid, designed by I.M. created controversy among Parisians when it debuted in the late 1980s. Inside the Louvre's historic walls, you'll find celebrated works of art like the Mona Lisa and Venus de Milo. But beyond the famous pieces, the museum's 9 curatorial departments encompass everything from Egyptian antiquities to decorative art. 3. National Museum of China, Beijing. There's no better place for travelers interested in Chinese history and art than the National Museum of China. Founded in 1912, the museum sits off Tiananmen Square in Beijing and holds a massive 1.4 million piece collection of artifacts, fine and decorative art, and books. You can view everything from ancient jade objects to contemporary works. 4. The National Gallery, London. It's all about European art at London's National Gallery, housed in a stately complex overlooking Trafalgar Square. The museum, which is one of the best free things to do in the British capital, welcomed more than 3 million visitors in 2023. Spanning more than 2,300 works in several centuries, the collection includes masterpieces by Van Eyck, Titian, Turner, Velázquez, and Monet. 5. Tate Modern, London. Set within the imposing former Bankside Power Station, Tate Modern is one of a series of free art galleries in London, Liverpool, and Cornwall. Alongside the Tate's collection of contemporary art, the museum offers exhibits allowing visitors to interact with the works and highlight how renowned pieces were made. If you want to visit both Tate Modern and Tate Britain in one day, hop aboard the Tate to Tate boat, which runs along the Thames to Millbank. 6. The British Museum, London, with a free admission policy, except for some special exhibitions, and a collection that include notable artifacts like the Rosetta Stone. The British Museum is one of the most popular attractions in London. The museum houses 8 million permanent works, many of which were collected by the British Empire during its colonial period. 7. Museo Nacional Centro de Arte Reina Sofía, Madrid. Located in Spain's capital city, the Reina Sofía is the national museum of 20th century art and has a renowned permanent collection as well as rotating exhibits. Once you've explored the sprawling museum, walk through Retiro Park to see the Palacio de Cristal, a conservatory made almost entirely of glass. 8. The Metropolitan Museum of Art, New York City. The Metropolitan Museum of Art, better known as the Met, is one of the best museums in the U.S. The permanent collection of more than 1.5 million works includes everything from an ancient Egyptian temple to contemporary installations. Don't miss the renowned Impressionist collection with paintings by Monet and Van Gogh. The museum is also known for its schedule of crowd-pleasing temporary exhibits and the star-studded Met Gala each spring, which benefits its fashion department, the Costume Institute. 9. State Hermitage Museum, St. Petersburg. This world-renowned St. Petersburg Museum was originally founded by Catherine the Great and now encompasses 5 buildings, including the Winter Palace, a masterpiece of Baroque architecture. Inside the complex, you can peruse more than 3 million objects, from imperial porcelain and carriages to several centuries of European paintings. 10. Musée d'Orsay, Paris. The Musée d'Orsay may sit in the shadow of the iconic Louvre, but as any Parisian or art lover knows, this stunning museum, which was once a railway station, is the place to go if you want to surround yourself with French paintings, sculptures, furniture, and photography. It's particularly known for Impressionist and Post-Impressionist art. 11. Victoria and Albert Museum, London. The brainchild of Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, the Victoria and Albert Museum opened in 1852 to showcase design and manufacturing. Design is still at the core of the museum's incredibly varied collection, which encompasses everything from the Great Bed of Ware, referenced in Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, to the Raphael cartoons, tapestry designs by the Renaissance master, and the archive of David Bowie. This is where to go if you're interested in architecture, fashion and furniture, and exhibits related to theater and performance. 12. National Gallery of Art, Washington, D.C., located on the National Mall. The National Gallery of Art features a sweeping collection of art and artifacts ranging from Byzantine to pop. Highlights include paintings by Claude Monet, photographs by Gordon Parks, and mobiles by Alexander Calder. After you've made your way through the museum, swing by the adjacent sculpture garden for alfresco art. 13. The Uffizi Gallery, Florence. One of the crown jewels of Florence, the Uffizi Gallery holds an extensive collection of Italian Renaissance works, amassed by the powerful Medici family. The last Medici heiress gifted the family collection to the city in the 18th century, so today's visitors can view masterpieces by Caravaggio, Botticelli, and Michelangelo. Here, you can gaze at one of the world's most famous paintings, Botticelli's Birth of Venus, though you'll have to plan an additional visit to the Accademia Gallery to see Michelangelo's statue of David. 14.